Tom Brady's good enough to do whatever you need to do. He still threw for 40 touchdowns.
But do you think he's good enough to actually lead, to be the – he gonna need that help from the other guys, or is he strong enough and still got that gun enough to be able to be a slinger? Because we know Paddock can win the game on his own alone. I'm not sure that Tom Brady gonna be able to do that.
E36 Unfiltered, aka the Unfiltered Room with Mr. E.G.O.A.T. Introducing all the latest names and the latest news. Hottest take, he the new face, yeah, the new sound, but keep it old school. And raw interviews from local athletes, even digging off and entertainment too. Own style, he got his own lane, it's unfiltered out, we keep it raw, man. New content to keep the people ready. E36, no Jerome Bait, it's real dialogue and real conversations. You keep it real, but we real. Mr. E.G.O.A.T in the building. E36 Unfiltered.
Welcome back, everybody. How you doing? This is your boy E.G.O.A.T for the E36 Unfiltered podcast. This year 2021, baby. We're in the house. We have a special guest in here, man. A good dear friend of mine. We go way, 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 way back. A man that's a two-time Pro Bowler. Yes, two-time Pro Bowler. 2 times in the Super Bowl. Won the Super Bowl with in 2009 or 2010. I'm going to get that right. With my New Orleans Saints. He is the man now going to his first season, or just completed his first season in SEC Network, ESPN, as an analyst. And not to mention, just overall great guy. Underscore here, IG Harp, _41, Roman Harper. How you doing, man?
2009, but we won the Super Bowl in 2010. You know, that's how it kind of rolls over.
Yeah.
So you're on top of your things, man. That was a great intro to, man. I really like the music behind it. You know, E36, Huntsville. I see you doing your thing.
We're trying to do a little something, man. Trying to do a little something. So let's jump right into it, man. It is, like I said, this is year 2021. You know, 2020 was bananas, man. Like, it was like a reality TV show, but it was no show. It was real life. But anyway, speaking of that, man, segue into what we got going on, man. Our alma mater, man, University of Alabama, man. They just landed their national championship. First season, like I said, it was just with a pandemic going on. But before I talk about that, because I want to keep things in order how I want to say it. First season, man, you just completed your first season on ESPN SEC Network as a TV analyst, man. Congratulations to you on that. And how was that experience?
Thanks, man. It was good. It was really fun. It was a lot different, though, because everybody that I had to work with on a day-to-day basis, you know, all they talked about was how different it was under 2020, the pandemic. You know, everybody wearing masks the whole time. And for me, that, you know, I was the only person on set at the studio. So everybody's doing it virtually from all over. Tim would be at his house down in Jacksonville. Jordan Rogers would be all the way down in Costa Rica, where he's at. Laura's in Bristol at the home base of ESPN. And I'm in Charlotte at the SEC Network. So literally, we were all over the world and all being able to talk and communicate. Communication and problems with the headsets were literally what we dealt with every week. The same thing me and you were having to deal with earlier, the audio.
Yeah.
Trust me. Imagine 4 or 5 different people all over the world having to be on time and just trying to cut it down from, like, you know, a 2-second delay to less than a 1-second delay, where I'm at the home base, so I didn't have a delay, but some of my other coworkers would. I mean, every show, Laura Rutledge's, you know, her audio would go out, and she's the host of the show, so she wouldn't even be hearing anything. And next, you know, we just have to fill it in because you're on live TV, so you don't get to,
absolutely.
You know, can we pause here? You don't get to do that, and
no.
So learning on the fly, myself just being there, learning how to just simply hear something. Understand that I'm just talking to a camera. I'm literally just talking to a camera in a room with nobody else around me, and being able to try and go back and forth and have the camaraderie. It was a lot more difficult to do that for me as a rookie. That's all I knew, so it's a little bit easier when you're not used to anything else and you kind of get thrown out there. For the other guys, you know, it was always, you know, different things. But I thought by the end of the year, we really had a good groove going. I would put our team up against anybody's that ESPN has going on right now in college football. And I just really love the energy that we started to bring in and come together. And especially with the way that SEC, the season that they had, all SEC teams playing each other. And Alabama just dominating in the form and the fashion in which they did. I didn't think anybody in the SEC would finish undefeated going into the season, but to see the way Alabama played and finished off the season was awesome.
Yo, you and me both. Like that was a crazy thing about it. I'm like, are we gonna really be able to do this? You know what I'm saying? Like, can we? And one thing I liked about it is that people, you know, it takes the media and everything to be able to shine light on like how difficult and how extraordinary this was to be able to go undefeated in an SEC, which has been arguably the toughest conference year in and year out, which is to me is not even a debate. So for that, man, I know most of the guys were SEC guys. Matter of fact, all the guys SEC guys in there. But how much was it, man, to be able to walk in there every week? And then you got my man that used to play at Georgia, walk up with the chest out, knowing like, yo, man, we just smashed y'all. Like you was the guy. Like you didn't have to worry about having some type of, you know, moral victory type of conversation coming in. No, it was dominating every week, bro. So how was that walking in there?
You know, what's already understood doesn't have to be, you know what I mean? What's already said doesn't have to be, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things. It's already known, doesn't have to be said.
Yeah, understood.
And the thing was, you know, Laura is a Florida graduate. Tim, Florida graduate. Mm-hmm. Jordan is a Vandy guy, so he just, you know, he kind of stays out of the way.
Yeah, they know.
And says what he says. So it's all good. And look, they were able to put numbers up. So the way that people learn nowadays in today's sports realm is all about numbers, stats, just beating a whole bunch of stuff. Me personally, I just like talking ball. And I was just so impressed by the way in which that offensively they were able to beat teams any kind of manner that they wanted to. You look at an Ole Miss game early in the season, Alabama was really struggling defensively. And that was just so uncharacteristic of what we're so used to seeing from an Alabama team. But it really kind of set the standard of which Alabama was going to have to go out there and win games all year long, was whether they had to throw it to win it or they could just turn around and hand it off and run it to win it. They showed the ability to be able to do both of those. Ole Miss, they went out there and ran the ball. Najee Harris ran for 200-plus yards, 5 touchdowns. Then you look at a game like Texas A&M where Mac Jones goes out there and throws for like 450 yards, lights them up. And you know, the way they played against Georgia where they ran the ball, but they had great balance to be able to throw the ball, hit some couple home run balls. Then you had Jalen Waddle go down and Devontae Smith stepped up and went out there, Heisman right behind that. So it's crazy how this team just continued to overcome, continue to achieve. Nothing ever got in their way. You know, Nick Saban getting COVID, being out. All they do is go out there and win. Still. It was just like, man, what can this team not do? They went out there and proved it week in and week out, especially in a season of so many uncertainties where everybody had an issue with COVID except Alabama because they handled their business. And that was like the maturity in which they showed all year long, that they were just going to do whatever it took as a team to win the game. And they never let the outside things become a factor. You saw so many other teams not be able to handle that. And Alabama did. And that's why they're going to go down as one of the greatest teams of all time. For that reason alone, the way that they went out there and handled the business, but also because I don't know how many other times you're going to be able to say an SEC team went out there and won 11 SEC games. They beat 11 SEC opponents and then went on to win a national championship after winning 2 playoff games after that. So great job. They were undefeated. They deserve all the credit in the world. Mac Jones really stepped his game up, took it to another level. Everybody did. Najee Harris came back for the right reasons. Alex Leatherwood, Mosley, you can go down the line with all the guys that they all came back. Even Dickerson at center really stepped up and really helped anchor that offensive line. And I'm the last person to give interior offensive line love, but I got to give him love on this. So
my next question, to add to what you've said, best team ever? Best college football team ever?
You know, it's definitely in the conversation. I don't see it's hard. I can't say ever.
Because you just laid down every obstacle that they overcame that nobody else was able to do.
Right. So they're going to have things and check marks that nobody else can say that they're going to be able to have next to their name. Right. LSU last year is another thing that's going to kind of throw it off because everybody talked about how great LSU's team was last year.
They superseded.
Me personally, I love the Miami teams of the early 2000s.
Yeah.
But it's hard to compare that because that defense that they had in Miami, all those dudes have been kicked out of the game in today's game because you can't hit like the way you do. So it's really hard to compare different times the way it is. So right now, let's just be in the moment. Let those guys really enjoy it, understand and just applaud them for the greatness that they showed. And the way that, you know, no matter what happened, nothing ever wavered. You know, it took Devontae Smith to win a Heisman. You know, it took all that. It took Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs to leave and be first-round draft picks. And then it also took Jalen Waddle to break an ankle, too, or break a leg for all of a sudden now Devontae Smith come into
be that guy.
What he's all of a sudden became into.
Yes, because you know what, I agree with that, because it would have been, you always have been able to rely on the crutch of, but he had Jalen Waddle on the other side. Of course, he can get a lot of more one-on-ones or this and that. Well, that wasn't the case anymore. He didn't have the Jalen Waddle to be able to hide him or have to take some of the attention off of him. It was all, they knew Devontae. They did a great job of Sark putting him in different positions to be able to, expose some of the different matchups and everything. Of course, nobody could guard him, period. That was the end of the story for that. Another segue you talk about real quick concerning the Alabama football for the season is Jalen Waddle. I, for one, was horrified for him trying to come back. I was like, please don't do it. I mean, we sat here, I had my co-host with me, Chris James, had our man Jawan, and we were sitting there talking about, should he come back? I was completely against. I'm like, dude, no, go get your money, don't risk it, this and that. He came back, and it was so heroic to see it, but the man was limping. You can see he wasn't healthy. He didn't get in contact. It's like, dog, what are we doing? Get him out. And you can see a lot of the NFL players were getting on there, hey, tweeting, hey, get him out, man. Come on, hey, don't do this, don't do it, yada, yada, yada. From you, what was your thoughts on that? Because, again, we Bama guys, man, so we know we want to see our fellas out there to give us the best chance to make sure we can get the victory, but at what cost? So how did you feel about that decision? And if that was your son, would you have pushed for him to go ahead and push through it?
So I saw him warming up because I was at the game. I saw him warming up. I was like, there's no way he needs to play. Not only that, but he was in high-top cleats, which he normally does not wear. So those little details told me a lot. Mm-hmm. And then when they interviewed Nick Saban, Nick said, look, I knew personally that Nick did not want him to play. I knew that. I had that feeling. Nick didn't want him to play because Nick's like, if he gets hurt, I'll never forgive myself. And it's just like, how could I ever do that? And as a coach, you're always supposed to protect the player from himself. Coach and trainer, that's part of your job. Yes, is to protect the player from himself, because the players always want to play. We always want to play. Definitely. So at the same time, I look at it, and when I heard them interview Nick, and he said, well, it's going to be up to him. I'm out of it. So that means he had been vetoed. He had probably told him, I don't want you to play. I don't think you're ready. Mm-hmm. And Waddle's like, I want to play. He was like, I'm out of it. It's his decision. So when I heard him say that, I'm like, a little question about it. Yeah. And then he gets out there, and I saw that he could run full speed because I watched him warm up. Mm-hmm. He was going straight, but he couldn't stop. Yeah. And that's because when you're running straight, most of the time, people don't understand this, but if you're a real runner, when you run on the balls of your feet. Mm-hmm. So that has nothing to do with the back part of your ankle or anything. But when you stop, that's when you put pressure on your ankle,
you got to drop them hips.
On the back part of your foot. Yeah. So that's when you really saw the limp come out, was when he was trying to slow down or stop. My personal opinion is he made a decision whatever he wanted to. It was his last college football game. He understood that. He wanted to help his team win a championship. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to go out as a hero. It didn't look pretty, but luckily he never took a hit.
Yeah.
He actually made a couple catches some kind of way. I don't really know how. Yeah. And you look up in another month or so, 2 months, he's going to be able to run fine at the combine.
No problem.
And he's going to run a blazing time, and he's going to fly right up the draft boards, just like everybody anticipates anyway. So it's just another way that Alabama kind of got out of this whole thing clean. As ugly as it was, and everybody having an opinion on the outside, on Twitter and all that other stuff, at the end of the day, Jalen Waddle did what he wanted to do. And he went out there and helped his team win a championship, and he can say he was a part of that. Because when Devontae Smith went down, they needed Jalen Waddle. So it kind of like played out that way. And he made some good crucial catches on some situations in the second half when Devontae hurt his hand.
Got you. So let's talk about this, man. It's something, and this is my man. So, you hear this, y'all hear the analytical part of Roman, very cerebral and everything, but you guys don't always get a chance to see now in this position, the passion, like I had a chance to see you front row playing alongside this man for a few years at Bama. So you went, this is last year, I'm bringing some back up. You went on to, I think my man, I forgot the guy's name. He's on Bama Insider, Bama something like that. And it was 2019. You weren't saying nothing that nobody else wasn't saying. I can't get this name to cut off for some reason. But anyway, you weren't saying nothing that anybody else was not saying, because we was killing in our chat. That 2019 Alabama defense, bro, it was horrific. It was not Alabama football. And you had that passion came out where it was no miss for words. You was basically, they stuck soft. They can't stop anybody. This is not Alabama football. Can't get off on third downs. Howbeit, I will say a lot of it contribute to the loss of Dylan Moses, playing with true freshmen on the linebacker at that time. But you
that
went
ain't got nothing to do with tackling, though. That ain't got nothing to do with tackling. That ain't it.
Okay, let me finish. So you went there, and then, you know, this turnaround, they were saying Pete Golden needs to go and everything, and they made this turnaround like they did. How much do you think that stuff really contribute to, like, here, like I said, you come down to Bama, and you have a president, man. You did your thing down there. 2002 to 2005, Staple left there, and we just wasn't satisfied with what we were seeing because we knew that we was better than this. So for that, man, and then seeing what they did in 2020, what would you think was the biggest contributor to that? And like I said, because we made our voice well known that we was not with this, what we were seeing on defense.
So you got to understand, when it comes to Alabama, talent is not an issue,
Mm-hmm.
right? Talent's not an issue. They got the best players available. So what does it come down to? It come down to heart, effort, and discipline.
Yeah.
You don't have to be great talented to play really good defense,
True.
right? You can be out-talented in some things, but defense is more often is like want to, everybody being disciplined, everybody doing their job, being in your gap, your responsibility, like those things. You look at Northwestern. Northwestern plays great defense every year.
Mm-hmm.
They're not that talented, right? They're not.
Iowa.
So
yes.
it's easy to say. So it's easy just to throw out talent. That's not it. I thought schematically Alabama played a lot better. They were doing things that they don't normally do traditionally defensively. They played a lot more zone on first and second down,
Yes.
allowing guys to see what's in front of them. A lot of people don't understand the concept. And my agent said this was a great take that I had. I was just like, look, when you play zone on first and second down, as a defender, as an edge defender, first of all, when motion comes, I don't have to run with them.
Yes.
Everything's a balanced defense. So we don't have to move as much. It's not as many moving parts. Also, when the ball is snapped, my eye's not on my man. I can see what's in front of me. I can look in the backfield and diagnose what's going on. So I'm quicker to react to the run than I am when I'm playing man-to-man coverage. So now when my man blocks, then I have to react and replace.
True.
So
true.
all those things allowed Alabama to play faster and better on first and second down, which allowed them to be in better positions on third and longer. So now they're able to get off the field. I thought they played a lot more zone. They were better at zone coverages, and that allowed them to be more. And also, their offense put so much pressure on other teams.
Yes.
Alabama's defense at times, they still gave up bunches of yards at times this year, but they were really good at creating turnovers in crucial situations. Whether it was when the team was driving against Georgia right before the first half ended, big interception by Malachi Moore.
Yes.
All right. Not Eric Wright, but Wright, the safety versus Texas A&M.
Yes.
The game was still in the game, second quarter. Wright picks that ball off, takes it back for 7. Next you know, the game's blown up after that. Tennessee, the game was close. It was not close, but it was a game against Tennessee.
True.
Next you know, first play of the second half, strip fumble by Malachi Moore, touchdown. Those turnovers change the game. People don't understand that. That's the most important stat in football is the takeaway turnover battle. The team that wins that wins football games. Alabama did not turn the ball over offensively, and they constantly got 1 to 2 turnovers every game when they needed it the most to help them win the games this year.
Yeah.
That was the biggest difference. I'm not going to sit up here and hit you over the head with all these stats and numbers, and their players were better. The scheme helped, and they got turnovers on defense. That was all it is. All you got to do is just be good enough. I won a Super Bowl on a team that was just good enough all defensively. We were opportunistic. We led the league in the NFL, led the NFL in turnovers and forced turnovers, and that would always get our offense back on the field enough. And then their offense, having a good offense like we had with Drew and those guys, it puts so much pressure on opposing teams that now they can't run the ball because they got to try and play catch up the whole time because they know you're always against the clock.
Yes,
that is how you win football games, and Alabama's offense helped them because they dictated the tempo in which the games were played. Whether we could score fast, we could grind it out. They were able to do that either way, and the defense was always opportunistic enough.
I love it. So let's move into your career, man. Another thing, like I said, we talked about 2020.
They still ain't knocking heads off, all right? like not what I'm used to. I love physical, head-rocking defenders. I love it. It's really hard to do that in college football right now. But
they took it away. Tell him that because he's talking about the 05 defense, baby, with DeMeco Ryans, Roman, Freddie, you know, we with the dogs, man. MMA. Like,
I'll digress.
Yeah, he don't want to talk about it. With 31 and 340. Y'all remember that. 31 and 340. Y'all remember that. But anyway, let's keep on moving, man. You had a great, man, 11-year career. 8 years of those in your first 8 years with New Orleans Saints, alongside what you had 2 times your Pro Bowl, made the Pro Bowl, won the Super Bowl, that first ever Super Bowl appearance, which they also won. Wish your boy was, I don't want to bring this old pickup, man, that you don't remember. We got a chance to celebrate your Super Bowl with you down in Miami. See if my editor, if he can find that joint, go and throw it on the screen with us real quick. A little throwback, because I'm going to segue into something else a little bit more differently about talking about. But anyway, before we do that, let's go ahead and jump into this, man. Drew Brees was your guy. That was, you got 8 years with him. I'm sure you had a great relationship with him, even when you went to Carolina for that season or two. You got a chance to, y'all reunited at your last season. He had a controversial statement, man. And I always wondered what he's talking about. I would never respect anybody I would never agree with anybody disrespecting the United States flag. And of course, a lot of the players, Malcolm Jenkins, which you also played with him, Richard Sherman, spoke of it. A lot of the players were just blown away. And of course, he came back later on to make an apology of that one. How did you feel? How shocked were you after all this time that took place and everything, to know Drew Brees the way I'm sure you knew him or you know him, and to hear him make that type of statement? How did you personally handle it?
So my wife was the first person to tell me about this. And I was like, babe, he said that in like 2016. She's like, no. He just said it. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, has Drew been under a rock the last year? Like, in
New Orleans now, with everything that goes on.
He seemed out of touch. It came off as selfish as well. And I talked to Drew. I talked to Drew after. And,
I was just going to get into this. I
text him and so I text him. He hit me back and he like, look, first of all, Roman, I want to apologize. He apologized. How it sounded, it made him sound small, inconsiderate,
close-minded,
selfish, all those things. He said all the right things. And for me, knowing Drew, he was like, Roman, I know these are just words, that my words come off as empty until I put actions behind them. And I will continue to work and put in the time. The same way I know Drew, it's football work and everything, the passion they speaks. I know he'll do the same thing to try and make it up. And what Malcolm Jenkins said is that you got to understand, like, Black people and other people, other brown people in this country, I call it minority for a reason. They can't just affect change because they are the minority legally. So you have to have allies like a Drew Brees that have a voice, that have power. Your words are powerful when you speak them, to be able to drive the narrative or change the narrative into the direction that we all want it to be, which is something similar to what our locker room is like. The culture in the locker room where you don't care about what religion they are, where they come from, what they look like. It's all one goal. It's to win. And can you help me win? Like, that's all we're all about. And he went about his business from there, man. And that's why his teammates forgave him. That's why everybody else around him forgave him, because we know who Drew is as a person. And because of that, I knew he was going to get it right. And so I forgave him. He definitely went out of his way to apologize and clear things up. And that's why you haven't heard anything else about it from them. And he also went up to the state legislator here in Louisiana, tried to do some things.
Wow. And that's great, man, because I always wanted to know firsthand, because personally I was shocked.
Keep talking now. I got to move a little bit because I got to get my phone charged. My phone about to die. So
all right.
We'll keep doing this interview. Just keep talking. You're going to see my background change because I got to get a charger. But keep going. So,
I was shocked. It would just hit me like, what, Drew? After all this time? Like, bro, you in New Orleans, the most diverse, more populated with the blacks and brown people, period. And you do so much community. How could you say this after all this time? And like you said, when I originally heard it, I said, okay, that's 2016. That's older. Now he's not saying that. And to know that he was still saying it at this day and time, like I said, that was the big shocker. My next thing, do you think, and then this sounds crazy, but do you think that the team ever really actually got over that? Because you saw so much happen. Of course, we can always contribute to the injury, his injury, Michael Thomas with his injury, which he really wasn't healthy all this season. But once again, coming up short into the playoffs and things of that nature. Do you ever feel that this stuff was a lingering effect to what had happened with him?
No, I don't. I just feel like Michael Thomas being hurt, and for me, I never allowed myself to ever blame Drew for anything because he helped me win so many games for the Saints. I never was like, we always had to do more. We had to find a way to get Drew to win, just another possession.
Yeah.
And defensively, I don't think they caused enough turnovers in the big games. In the big moment, when you needed it the most, you gotta find a way to get your team back, your offense back on the field. They didn't do that, and they did not play well in the playoffs. And unfortunately, Drew and those guys did not win another Super Bowl or get back to one. Unfortunately, as much talent in as many games as they won over the last 4 years, you're going to come up and you don't have anything to show for it because nobody ever talks about the success of regular season. Nobody talks about it. It's not something that people care to talk about, especially when now. And I'm just going to be a little selfish here and just say, well, I'm not even that mad about it because we're still the only team to win a Super Bowl here, and because of that, they love us.
And speaking of that, because now you are you actually in the Saints Hall of Fame or Ring of Honor as well?
So I was supposed to get inducted last year. I was selected, but 2020 was what it was. So I think we'll redo it again this year when everybody's safe and we can actually really celebrate it. I'm really excited to go in with my former teammate Jari Evans, who I love to death like a brother, and we came in the same draft class, my frat brother, and just overall, he is the one guy in my draft class who we think has a real chance of getting a golden jacket and going into the NFL Hall of Fame because he was so dominant, the top offensive guard, and during my playing period.
Yes. Yeah, you know what? Yes. So, okay, so let's talk about this segue into this next piece, man. Like we talk about the social injustice thing with Drew Brees, and like it's something that we didn't get a chance to experience. We had something with of course, remember Katrina, and how we're hearing some of stuff after effects of what that really was about, why the city has not recovered. I'm sure you would know even better than I would how devastating it hit the area and still having the lingering effects. But I say that to say, going back to our alma mater, man, Alabama, we was able to kind of give back at that time when that stuff happened. I remember that vividly. But they did something this year that I never thought I would see, which is Coach Saban allowing and taking joining forces with the team, and even in the video with Alex Leatherwood of the social injustice and stop killing us and things of that nature. And it was very controversial at the same time. It was very controversial. Some people hated it. Some people liked it. Some people loved it. I loved it. I thought it was a great stance, and I thought it showed that what they was willing to do with him to be on the right side of history. Anyway, with that being said, what was your thoughts and action when you saw that, especially coming from University of Alabama? We know our background. We know how some diehard, loyal fans are, but also that you was able to see, okay, we fine if you entertain us, but we don't want to see that. But so what do you think that dealt for Coach Saban's reputation from a player standpoint, former and current, and his recruits, man?
Well, So E-Man, the biggest thing is that, when we were coming through, you weren't allowed to be an athlete and an activist. Like, you had to be either or. You just, we don't want to talk about that. Oh, it's not the time. And for the players to step up, to feel like they're being called to action, to understand that they have power, that their voice and that name on the back of their jersey represents something bigger than them, that you can say something and speak out and be heard. Because the first thing that they always try and say, you don't have power, or you need to stay in this lane until you get in trouble. And then when you get in trouble, then they want to punish you. So I thought it was huge. I thought it was huge that Nick Saban stepped out, that it wasn't just the players.
Yes,
but
exactly.
When Nick went out there with him, it was like, okay, that was big because Nick is the most powerful person in the state of Alabama. Nick Saban is that guy. So when you saw Nick step out there and go out there and do it and really back his players, that gave his players all the power and the backing that they needed, that it's okay to speak up, it's okay to step out and make people uncomfortable, because real change happens when people get uncomfortable. And so I thought it was great. And you didn't see every school do those things. But first you look at but you know it can happen, though. Look at what happened in Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Those guys stepping out. They got the state flag change. That really happened. And because of college athletes, not because of people in the legislature, not because of people in the state representatives. No, it was college athletes that got that thing pushed through because they said, we're not playing. We won't go out there and play for these universities until you take it down and change it. And next you know, they changed it.
Did it.
So athletes have power. And I'm glad that these young men recognize that, use their voices in a powerful and manable fashion. The teams that chose not to, you saw them have cracks in their locker rooms later on down the season. And the ones that all came together and stepped up and did some things, those are the teams that flourished this year. Whether it didn't always result in as many wins, but togetherness in those locker rooms, on those campuses, you saw people of all different races and religions all coming together for the betterment of all, because that is what our future looks like. Our future wants that. We crave for all of us to all be equal, treated alike, and want to be together. Like, that is all that continues to happen. I remember 8-10 years ago, my uncle was like, you know, he's 70-some years old, and he was like, Roman, the best thing that can happen for our country is for more people to have more interracial couples, to continue to mix the races to where we all become one. He said, we got to continue to do that. He said, because when I was growing up, that did not happen.
You ever heard of it? You can die from that.
It was not this. So now, having that continue to happen and grow, you're starting to see the changes. And I'm glad that these young men and women stepped out there, because it wasn't just football. It was other sports as well. It was track. It was women's basketball. It was men's basketball. All across the country, man. I was really happy. And I got to see a lot of that working with the SEC network. A lot of these athletes stepping up and saying things.
You know what? And that was a beautiful thing, man. You are absolutely. I couldn't put it any better when you talk about, because I look at it, when you look at everything, how, and to me it told more of a story than what we could ever imagine. The aspect where we saw so much pushback coming from that, because the athletes, because the people knew that cheered for us on Saturdays and the Sundays with NFL, they knew the power and influence that athletes had. It showed me that they knew the whole time. We didn't probably know, but once we put our foot in, they knew, because it provoked a change across the board. I'm talking about from the kids, everything. And I think that's a beautiful thing that I learned as a lesson. I'm like, man, I had no clue back then. Because like you said, you didn't have a choice back when we played. You know, just that, and it wasn't even that one. That's still in the 2000s. But it enlightened us to let us know, okay, we have that power influence even outside of that, and we can confidently and very intellectually engage into that field and still be able to be about this game, because again, that's what we're about. We have to live this every day. So a beautiful thing, man. And it's crazy to go one more quick segment here for you before we get out of here. Make sure, first of all, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to this page, man. I hope you guys are loving what you're hearing, man.
Do that right there underneath, right there.
Yes, like right there. Get that going. Also the Cash App, guys. You want to do that? You see Harp also, his thing is on there for his underscore for his Instagram page, all that great stuff. Now you seen it because you was going to your last year, 2016, when the Kaepernick stuff was going on. So you got a chance to see how much the climate was like. No. Real quick, what was the atmosphere? What was the conversation like inside the locker room at that time as well? Because like I said, at that time, it definitely was not a full, NFL-wide accepted thing that was going on. And Eric Reed was one of the top heads in there at that time with Malcolm Jenkins, your former teammate. How controversial was that conversation at that time, the start of all that?
You have no idea the groundwork that went on behind the scenes before it all really got out there. So, all right, Cap took a knee. We all applauded because what he said was dead on. And a lot of us felt that way. White, black, everybody. So we started it was like a big group chat, or what's that? Group me or whatever. It was like a big thing. So we had guys from all across the league, from all the different teams, like representatives, started chopping it up. We finally got a hold of Cap, and we're all talking about what can we do as a league-wide to show togetherness that we want to see this change. Like, we want to support Cap. Like, what he did, it's awesome. Like, we're in. What can we do? The only problem was Cap only wanted us to either take a knee or don't do anything at all. And we didn't want to take away from what his movement had started. We couldn't rain on his parade.
Wow. Yeah.
So it was like a lot of back and forth. So some players on the team, I don't feel comfortable taking a knee. Or some players, I don't feel like comfortable putting the fist up. Because, maybe that's black power. I'm not black. Or whatever it is. It was different ones. And, so we're talking about this. We're trying to do that. And then next Seattle Seahawks just went out there and did their own thing. Like, they were the first team to show, like, a whole team do something. All right? Us as a team, I brought it to Sean Payton. Sean Payton immediately responded by saying, Roman, whatever you guys want to do, I'm with it. You know how I feel about all this stuff. I'm with it. Like, let's do it. Whatever you guys say, I'm in. So we ended up coming together with the Atlanta Falcons, and we all like one big circle before the game.
Yes.
Held hands. We did a little moment of silence to just show togetherness. But that wasn't, at the time, the only thing that was getting anybody's attention was the flag.
Yes.
Because they made it about the flag. They made it about the flag.
In there.
It was totally taken away from what the real message was trying to be conveyed. And that's all anybody, that's why Malcolm Jenkins had, I remember he had the interview and he had the poster board. It was just like, you're not listening.
Yes.
You're not listening. Everybody wants to make about everything else. And it was crazy because at the time, politics, everybody's all about, keep sports out of politics. And, but politics kept jumping into sports. Like, we're not trying to be into politics, bro. I'm not a political guy. All right? Well, I'm into politics, but I don't study that stuff.
Yes.
But when politics keeps trying to jump into sports, when it comes to their favor, right? When it's like, it's something that they could use to swing or, to show some type of favoritism for them, then they're all about it. But if they're not, they're like, you just need to stay in your lane. Shut up and dribble. Just play ball. You don't know.
Shut up and dribble.
It's so crazy, but that's how our world works, and especially nowadays when anybody can say anything that they want from behind the computer or Twitter or anything else like that. When knowing damn well if you was in front of me, you wouldn't say half that stuff because you get a knuckle sandwich to your nose. So that is the biggest thing that I've learned from all that, and that I also know this. That Cap was right.
Yes.
We look up 4 or 5 years later, we're still fighting this same battle. And every time that America has seen growth in social justice or civil rights, it's always followed by a state of retrenchment. They want to hold back down, right?
Yes.
And then you got to continue to fight and push forward. And that's all America's continued to do. You've seen athletes be leaders in this movement going forward, whether it's LeBron James, whether it's the NBA really stepping up, doing their thing. In the NBA, because it's less players, the dynamics are different when it comes to white versus black. And I'm not saying that that's all about it, because 90% of the white guys are always with the black guys, because you grow up in a locker room. You grow up around other people.
Absolutely.
And that's what it's really all about. It's really inside. We want to bring the locker room to the rest of the world, because that's what it is. You come from all different walks of life.
It's a real tough conversation.
Home, mom, dad, white, black, Asian, don't care about none of that. You love them all the same.
Yes.
And that's what we want to share with the rest of the world and put that out there. And I think more people, if they got it outside of their own little bubble, they would realize that if they traveled globally, if they traveled other places, that they would see that it's way more, we have way more things in common than we have differences.
Boom.
And I'll leave you with a little quote too. From Abraham Lincoln from back in the day. I learned this, not like I read it, but Abraham Lincoln
bro,
said,
give us a little knowledge.
I hate that man. I hate that man. I must get to know him better.
Simple as that, man. Simple as that. Last thing, man, Super Bowl. Tom Brady going for his 10th. Okay, so you took the whole question. There it is. So he's the GOAT. 10th question, 10th Super Bowl appearance. Should potentially be his 7th Super Bowl win. With the upcoming young gun, Patty Mahomes for the Kansas City Chiefs. Who do you got, and what do you think is going to be the difference?
I think so I'll start here. The difference is going to be the pressure in which Tampa Bay's defense is able to create with their front four. Pierre,
Paul,
they got some dudes. And Ndamukong Suh's been playing like he's 20-something years old.
Yeah,
again.
yes.
Hold it down. Dudes, Shaquille Barrett, balling. Those two linebackers, Levante David, Devin White.
Devin White is...
These guys are playing at another level. Tom Brady's good enough to do whatever you need to do. He still threw for 40 touchdowns.
But do you think he's good enough to actually lead, to be the, he gonna need that help from the other guys, or is he strong enough and still got that gun enough to be able to be a slinger? Because we know Paddock can win the game on his own alone. I'm not sure that Tom Brady gonna be able to do that.
But Kansas City's offensive line is beat up. So, and he has a bad toe. He has a bad turf toe that just doesn't heal in a week or two. Yeah, that just doesn't heal. And so those are the things that I would be concerned with. Are those things, is that, all right, well, can the offensive line in Kansas City hold up? Can the run game of Kansas City do just enough to keep them on pace and on balance? So now I don't want Patrick Mahomes to have to throw the ball 48 times, right, just to be able to keep the win. Like, I get it if you're behind and you need to throw the ball that much, but you don't want to go into it thinking, I want to throw the ball 48, 50 times. That's not a winning formula for most teams. So I'm looking forward to it. And at the end of the day, I just feel like I hear so many people hate on Tom Brady, and that just makes me root for him more. I find myself rooting for Tom Brady more and more this year than I ever have before. Not only that, but when Tom Brady is the one person in football that I believe has the right to act like he's bigger and better than everybody else. My simple answer to it all is I'm going with
the GOAT.
The GOAT, baby.
Well, there it is, man. There it is, man. It's the wrap for it, man. He made his choice. I was just thinking about, I'm like, what are we gonna go with? You know, for me, like I'm kind of in the boat with you. I have a two-part real quick. Is that I want to see Kansas City. I'm a Kansas City guy. I want to see Kansas City pull it. I love what they're doing. Patrick Mahomes, I think it'd be a great way
to. Biggest Kansas City fan. I get it.
Oh yeah, I'm ready to see. He's kind of gonna get handed off to who he is, which is that, like I said, the new up and coming gun. But at the same time, I have a soft spot for like one of the last guys, man. Phillip Rivers, he's gone. Peyton Manning, he's gone. Drew Brees, we don't know if he's gonna come back or how much more he got. And to see my man, one of our last generations, to really be able to do it before we pretty much gone, So I got the soft spot for
generation, bro. He older than us.
That's what I'm saying. It's true. That's true.
He was in the NFL before we got to college.
Facts. He really was. God. That's what I'm saying. Well, I can say that's of that generation that we relate to him. We saw him as really coming up. You know what I'm saying? And now these are kids, bro. These people. Patrick Mahomes was well out of the league. I was out of playing college football. You was on your way out from the league by the time this guy was really coming in. You know what I'm saying? And coming from the Big 12, we're like, who is this? But so I just got the last little bit of the from him. I'm holding on to a Malcolm Jenkins who was still trotting and still going. I'm going with Brady. God, I'm going to Tampa Bay. I'm going Tampa. Yeah, I want to see Gronk give him one more last one for Gronk to go and get out of there because I'm tired of his body like it's going to just break down at any given second if he keep on playing. So go ahead and give him a ring. Tom Brady gonna get him a ring so he can go and hit them deuces. So I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's what it is.
I love it.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure having you on, bro. You know how much I appreciate you coming on. You said you would, and you definitely did that. And like I said, taking time out your busy schedule on a Friday. We can do many more things. So I appreciate you coming on here. Make sure you guys go check him out. Follow him, watch from the SEC Network, ESPN. He's doing his thing. Like I said, just completed his first season. So once again, congratulations on that. He's killing it. My man, 50 grand, Roman Harper, E36. Make sure you guys go subscribe to the page, like it, and subscribe. Roman, tell them, man, what they need to do, man. They go ahead and support the E36.
Man, click on this thing, dog. Click, like, subscribe. Follow my boy, E man. Or you can follow me too. Harp_41 on Instagram. Look down here, scrolling across, do all that stuff right there. Click on it, hit follow, share. All right, all those things. Also, you can follow me on Twitter, Harp41 as well. So I don't tweet a lot, but I still like to get my numbers up.
Absolutely, get the numbers up. That's what it's about, man. We out of here, yo. Help me get these numbers up, yo. Y'all take care. Super Bowl, you got our pick, man. We're going to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What it is.
Hey,
check you guys.
Roll Tide.
Oh, absolutely. Yo, do you wear the Super Bowl anymore? You do the Super Bowl ring anymore? Anything like that? What's up? You don't rock the Super Bowl ring or nothing? Oh, no. He's a humble guy. Anyway, yo, we out of here, guys. We appreciate your time. E36 Unfiltered. Boom, boom. Check out the new logo as well. Thank you.
Keep the people ready, E36, no Jerome.